Hello and welcome to Michael Pepper Tech. We are live. If you are watching this in the replay, please check out links down below. Of course, if you want to support the channel, you can buy me a coffee. And of course, if you want to support me in another way, you can always head down and check out my Patreon, which is in the description down below as well. And I have a membership for $2.99 a month. Thank to Take for Your Needs for being my member and helping support the channel. As part of that membership, you get to read articles about kind of what's on my mind. I will be posting photography stuff there as well, and there will be some content that's on there that is not on YouTube, and exclusive streams and things like that in the future. And of course, if you want to, there is also my Cash App, which you can feel free to support that way as well. I get 100% of all proceeds through those three methods. They are in the links down below. And let's get into it. So, first topic, switching from Apple. So, yes, I still have my iPhone 15 Pro and I still have an Apple Watch. But for the last 2 weeks, I have been using the S24 Ultra, the Galaxy Watch 5 Pro, and for a while I have had, if I can find it, right behind me, the Tab S9 Ultra. I've had that since launch date, so I've had that for many months now, and I recently traded in my MacBook Air 15-inch for the Asus ZenBook 14X OLED. So that experience has been a little interesting. It has been, different from what I'm used to, and so some of the things that I've experienced is a little bit different than I expected. For one, iMessage really hasn't been that big of a deal. I've had some people say, "Hey, I noticed you have green bubble. What's the deal with that?" I say, "Well, I just different phone," and they're like, "Oh, okay." They were just wondering why. And as far as photos, I use Google Photos and iCloud Photos shared albums as a way to kind of get around it. The benefit of that is that when somebody goes to send an image, they don't have to really worry about upload and download speed where they're at. They can just add it and it will upload when they have good quality internet and download on my end. And I can choose to go into those albums and remove stuff. My mom tends to like to send kind of multiple images that are very similar. So our son was over at my parents this past weekend, and I can go in and remove duplicates. I don't have to worry about them being sent. I don't have to worry about if I have data at the time that they're sending. I can check them later. You can make comments. You can see other people's comments. And so that hasn't really been of concern. As far as being able to send messages apart from just on the phone, being able to send them on my watch, I do use messages for web. So, web dot messages.google.com or whatever it is, and you can set up messages for web. And so and Windows Link or Link for Windows also allows kind of a similar where you can access a lot of your messages on your Windows laptop as well. The other thing is I would use my iPad when I had that with my MacBook as a second display. And there is that option with Windows and a Tab S device or any Android device, you can use, um, well, not any, but most of them, you can use a second screen function. Or I do have an app that I can show you here. Let me go into utilities and I will show you called Super Display. And it looks like this. See if I can get it to and I can connect in a USB cable or over Wi-Fi, use it. And so I can use my phone as a second screen, my tablet as a second screen, and that supports full resolution, 120 frames per second. And it's nice to be able to do that method. The other things as far as using your keyboard and mouse between devices, that is possible as long as you have Samsung devices. Now, doing that between Google devices, between like a Google Chromebook and Google phone and a Google tablet. I'm sure there's apps that you can install that will treat them kind of like a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse and bring things over. Using your phone as a webcam, there are plenty of apps out there. There's one called Camo. There's several of them in the App Store. Uh, with a Samsung device, you can plug in a cable. So plug in like a USB-C to HDMI cable. And then I have a capture card, which is what my camera is connected to, and I can do it that way. There's plenty of methods, Pixels now have where you can just use USB-C to C plug-in and enable that in the drop-down menu, and that will be coming as part of a function with an update to Samsung devices as well, and so there really hasn't been much as the basic day-to-day needs. Now, as a content creator, some of the struggles of finding new software. Switching away from my Mac, I was using Pixelmator and using LumaFusion, and now I can use LumaFusion. I have it on here and I have it on my tablet, but Pixelmator Pro was huge. The benefit of using Pixelmator to edit my thumbnails, and now I've been experimenting with Canva, but I don't really want to pay a monthly cost. I paid $20 for Pixelmator Pro years ago, and I get all the upgrades. I get the automatic background removal and all the AI stuff. And so figuring out alternatives for that, I will just be using Pixelmator. I'll be keeping my iPhone around. So, some of us talk about we're switching devices and then we switch back. But for me, um, I have moved my main number. So my wife calls me and texts me, it goes over here. The iPhone is simply a tool to take videos and photos of my other devices. And be able to work on those in the thumbnails because I do have some software and stuff that I've purchased that was specifically for and only available on iOS or macOS at the time. And so I'll be learning some new stuff. I did install DaVinci Resolve, I have OBS running, and I have Filmora, and I've used Filmora and DaVinci Resolve in the past. So that's kind of what's been going on with that stuff. Let me take a minute to say hello to some people. Hello, Savage Scientist. How are you? Sean, holla at your boy. Technically T, I see you're going to be going live about at 9:30 tonight. So looking forward to that. I'm sure be a great discussion over there. So the other thing I've been doing is got some more cases in. So you might see this case here. Video on this should be coming soon. The stand grip Samsung case. I have 3 Samsung cases. And then I have the Thinborn Aramid fiber case, which is my first time ever using a thin case like that. And so it will be interesting. I have some thoughts on that. I'm actually using the screen protector, one of the 2 screen protectors that was sent along with that. And I should have a case coming from Taurus at some point. I think I need to reach back out to them because um, I haven't gotten it yet. But good evening, Ron. How are you? Big John, yes, it's really not as big of a deal, I think, as some people make it out to be. Yeah, the one of the kind of interesting thing, and I actually did this before I even switched my number over, was, using Telegram and using that to message with my wife, and she actually really likes it. The fact that she puts it on there, it doesn't matter what phone I'm using, she can send photos, video clips, I can send photos of my son during the day when we're doing school stuff and she's at work it's really handy to have. D-Mims, how's it going? So, I know that part of the struggle is convincing your family to use something different, and one of the other, I guess, thoughts with that is if you really have a family member who is so ingrained in using iMessage and FaceTime, you can always pick up an older iPhone. Get a 13 Pro Max. I've seen some crazy deals. A buddy of mine got one for $200, 512 gig model, 95% battery health, and just use that on Wi-Fi. You could put Visible on there. So I'm going to be running Visible on here as kind of a secondary device, mostly for um, if T-Mobile's having issues. Let me take a drink here. So as far as that goes, the journey of figuring out switching over and using something different has been pretty pleasant. Now, there's some camera stuff, and I'm not going to get into it too much. I did take some lovely photos today. Again, if you're not following me on X or Threads or Instagram, check that out. I will try to post some of my photos in my community tab here as well. But we can actually, I think I can do it this way. I'm gonna pull up some photos that I took today, and I'm going to, if I can remember how to do this, present, share screen, window, this, share. I'm going to add this to the stage, and then we will go in here. So I took this photo today, and with the S24 Ultra, um, this one as well, this one as well, this one. Took some, these with the iPhone, was taking them of the S24 Ultra. This picture of my son here. I managed to get one of him where he was in focus, and some pictures I took yesterday at a park. Um, so you'll see some close up, like this is a 5x, and then um, 3x. This is like all the way out. Just some pictures I took while we were out and about. Let me make sure. So some photos I've taken recently using the S24 Ultra, and it's been pretty pleasant experience. Now, if somebody's not sitting perfectly still, that still has been a struggle for me. That still has been some concern, some issues. Let me share this photo I took. Oh, this one I took inside a log that was in the woods behind us. And so some things like that, I've had pretty good experience so far with the cameras in daylight, but what becomes concern is low light. And even the way that it handles HDR, and if you have like a screen and you're trying to show video or take a photo of a screen and you have kind of a dark background and you're trying to, because you don't want a bunch of lights on for reflections, the glare that it gets is pretty noticeable and a bit problematic. So video is solid. Um, the way that I've kinda handled photo stuff is just not taking photos in low light, even if I turn on my lights and have them all the way up, just because of how it handles shutter speed. Wow, words are difficult sometimes. Shutter speed and the way it wants to keep the ISO really low. So sometimes it wants to keep the ISO at, like, 80, um, below 200 instead of cranking the ISO up to bring a little bit of noise, but being able to get that shutter speed up and maybe be able to close the aperture, the virtual aperture down and be able to still get a quick capture is something that I wish I handled better. I've even tried to use expert mode and pro mode and go in and adjust things. But when you have a kid that's moving around and maybe the light's changing and you have a TV on or he's doing different things and I want to just capture that moment, I can't be pulling my phone up and then having him notice. And then he'll make funny faces or he'll run away. And so that's also kind of why I keep a secondary device around. And I want to say that, for many of us that, yeah, this is not a cheap device, but for most scenarios, if you're gonna be gone on the weekend and you're out and about and, you're hanging out with family and maybe you're having a party in the backyard or you're at a pool or you're gone on vacation, you're doing things, you're probably gonna be in okay light. And, so you can bring that around, and then when you're in low light, picking up something like an iPhone, even like an older iPhone or like an older Pixel to have for those moments where you need the low light is something that people do. I mean, people carry multiple cameras for different scenarios, multiple lenses for different scenarios. And yes, I'm hoping that that's something they will fix, but I've been hoping that for several years. And so I dual carry. And that's something that kept me kind of from making Samsung device my primary device. And while I enjoy Pixels and I enjoy other devices, one of the reasons I really like my Samsung device is the kind of ecosystem, and it's its own ecosystem on its own. And the little leak into a video that I'm one of the video ideas I'm going to be working on is how realistically, because Samsung kind of packs the whole kitchen sink into one device, it can be its own ecosystem. And, the versatility of having the S Pen in there, so you don't have to have a tablet to have a stylus. The ability to connect up to a display. So if you need to have a larger touchscreen at some point, you can connect up to an external portable touchscreen and kinda have it as a tablet or, use it like a laptop in desktop mode and their DeX interface and stuff. And so for me, you know, a device like this, even if you were paying $1,300 out of pocket, think about the cost of even buying, like, okay, you could buy an older Pixel and maybe you spend $500 on that, and then on, like, a decent high-end one, like a Pixel 6 Pro or something, or a 7 Pro, is still up there in cost. And then you throw in their tablet, well, that's another $500, and then you throw in trying to buy a third party pen and then, oh, you gotta get a laptop, and even if it's cheap laptop or you try to get like a portable keyboard and use their tablet like a laptop, you're gonna end up around that price as it is. And no, if you don't want to get the Ultra, there's the Plus, but you do lose some of the versatility of having the newer cameras, of having the 3x and 5x, and I've really liked using those. And even at 10x, the crop in on that 5x has been really, really, really solid. And, using the pen to sign documents and things and um, doing your taxes on it and just some of the advantages that it has is something that can make it worth it if it's something you're going to hold on to for a long time. And other devices are out there are way cheaper, but you don't necessarily get all those feature packs. But there's ways around that, and that's something to cover as well. Um, Learning new software. I touched on it a little bit. So I had this stream set up with OBS, and then I realized I accidentally clicked a month ahead when I was trying to just move the time and had it scheduled for March 12th, which would be the wrong day of the week and a month from now, and it would be a Tuesday, I believe. So that would be the wrong time to do that. So ended up scheduling this through StreamYard and using that and got a free trial for 1 week to be able to test it at 1080p. I want to get OBS running so I can get it at least at 1440p or 4K perhaps to be able to take clips from this and have kind of a higher resolution on it. One of the other things software-wise is just figuring out some editing softwares. So I typically will record on an iPhone. I need to adjust my light in here a little bit. I'll typically record video clips either using my camera here, my A6100, and I have an AKG P120 running into a Scarlett interface, and I will record either into OBS or um, maybe just using StreamYard and take clips from it. Lately, I've been using OBS when I do that, but I've been having some weird audio issues, and having to edit out background noise in post is really annoying. So I've just been using my phone to record, and then um, the one really nice thing about the way Samsung does is I can record my intro with the rear camera or the front camera, depending on what lighting I have. Using my watch and remote record with the rear camera, and then pause. and then reset up my camera for a top down and hit play or hit record again and have it continue. And so the fact that you can do that with an iPhone, I can't just do that. So sometimes what I would do is I'd set it up, I'd hit record, and then I'd put the clips together using LumaFusion. And then LumaFusion has really good, solid, like AI background removal tool in there. It's just built in. Somebody created the plugin and it's integrated right into LumaFusion now. And so I'll either be using that on my iPhone and connecting up and doing that, or LumaFusion on my Android, on my uh, S24 Ultra or Tab S9 Ultra. So as far as like editing software, I've been using different editing software for a while because um, I originally had my PC desktop that I was going to edit software on, so I was learning it. And I just want to have the versatility depending on how complex I want to do things. And if people want to ask me for help, I want to know how it works. So that part hasn't been a struggle, but I've been using Pixelmator for 12 years. Yeah, back before it was Pixelmator Pro, before they added all the extra stuff, I was using it instead of using Photoshop when I was taking my photo classes, instead of paying the monthly rates when they went from the regular Photoshop to the CC suite, and saved lots of money in my classes, my photo classes. And so while I'll still have the portable mobile version of Pixelmator, and there's things like Snapseed, and there's some other options out there. If you know something that's similar that's got the extra stuff in it, that's not a monthly. I was looking at Affinity Photo, but that's like 170 bucks. Like if you want to get the full suite cross-platform of stuff, it's not cheap. But I want to stay away from Adobe. I've had bad experience with them. So if you know something similar, just kind of let me know in the description, or yeah, in the comments down below. The other thing I wanted to talk about is how many creators kind of go back and forth with this. And I've gone back and forth with going between and I have I have Windows computer, I have, all Samsung stuff, and then I've had um where I've had a mixture of companies' stuff. And so uh, I use, a Pixel Fold, and I have a Vivo X Fold, and I have some, other devices around that I use, and then end up going back to an iPhone. And I think part of the reason is if they've bought the software on their Mac, and then being able to just record and knowing that the format's going to be correct, not having to convert it, because one of the things that's really annoying is you record with your device and maybe it ends up exporting, and I need to figure that out. OBS likes to export .mkv files, and then I have to use a converter, which I found a free one that converts it, and it does it really quick to an MP4 and bringing it in. And so that learning experience is just something that um, maybe unique as a content creator, but maybe you have kids and you edit photos together and you do family albums and you print out, do books or cards or things like that that you send out to people. And you're used to using certain software on your iPhone and on your iPad and on your Mac. And maybe you're like, well, I'm really annoyed with this particular device of my kind of ecosystem. And what do I do? So fortunately, YouTube has lots of people who have used other software and are able to teach, and I've learned stuff in, minutes now. There's gonna be that time, but once you do it, you are done, you learn it, and the benefit of that is if you ever decide, "You know what? I really miss my iPhone," or whatever, and you go back to it, much of that software is cross-platform, and so you can continue to use it on your Mac, and There's a lot of apps that if they're available on Android, they're probably available on iPhone, maybe not the other way around. And so it will be interesting to do that. And I think part of the benefit will be I'll if there's something I can't do in one piece of editing software, I'll be able to do it in another. So, if you guys have tips and tricks for people that are switching from one to the other, obviously share those down below. We're a community. Um, the outreach of comments over the last couple weeks, people commenting on older videos and some of the newer stuff has been awesome. My tech discussion videos, I have a couple of those in the store coming up as well. People really, really seem to enjoy the OnePlus 12 video. So the next thing was kind of the discussion of um, is Apple, Google, and Samsung overpriced? Heroic Vision, how's it going? Actually, one of your videos is the video that came up when I was searching about being able to connect an external SSD up to my S24 Ultra. Your video about connecting external storage up to, I think it was an S22 Ultra at the time, using what's that? Micro 24. Yeah, the app to be able to connect up things. And you've come a long ways. Um it was kinda funny though, because you were, like, this top search result in Google for me, so, really enjoyed your video about, yes, MC Pro 24 FPS. I couldn't think of the word. I wanted to say micro for some reason. Um, yes. So, that's something I'm looking into investing in. I've been looking at moment cases. I've had some moment cases for a while. I had some moment cases back in the day, and I had some lenses of those for a while back when I had, what was it? iPhone 6s Plus. Yeah, and, I'm eyeing some of their stuff. I might reach out to them and see if they're willing to, send me out some stuff because that would be really helpful and really neat, especially, um, with my product photography stuff. I'm really getting into product photography and wanting to do some different stuff, and my video, um now that the weather is nicer out, my video that I'm gonna be working on for some case videos are gonna have some interesting I wanna do some different transition stuff and some different animation stuff and some, like, fade ins and outs and things, and so yes. The trail, yes, you are a mod. I and Sharkfin is a mod, and I think LaShawn's no mod. I just made him a mod. So, let's see. T is a mod now. I need to make sure I have different. Yep. So you guys are all mods now. Um, so as far as day-to-day life, people switching and, you know, the whole switching videos, it's funny to me to see like lifelong iPhone user switches. Yeah, you said that the last 3 years in a series. Whoa. Uh-oh. What happened? That's not good. I lost my camera for a minute and audio. Hold up. There we go. Do I have everything back? Are we back? Okay. That was weird. I think I kicked my um oh, I think I kicked my power strip underneath by accident. Let's see. Well, Savage, I have to be able to get to you. Hold on. There we go. Now you should have a hammer. Anyways, yeah, I accidentally kicked my power strip underneath the desk and sent everything into a frenzy for a minute. I mean, fortunately, everything's connected to my laptop, so my camera would have come back eventually and my microphone, but it would have been powered by that and wouldn't have lasted very long. So, shoot, what was I gonna say? Oh, not a blackout, fortunately. Okay. So, what was I saying? Oh, so the switching back and forth thing is funny to me when you see like lifelong Android user switches to an iPhone, yeah, for like the fourth, fifth year in a row, or lifelong iPhone user switches to Samsung. Yeah, you've done that every year and then switch back a month or so later. And so to me, I've switched back and forth, but I don't talk about it. I just talk about the device I'm using. And so for me, I don't know that I'm necessarily going to do a switching video as much as I'm going to just talk about what it's like to um, go to use Android and Windows and all that together when you're used to using Apple's operating system. And so that will be an interesting discussion, and I'll be curious to see what input I get on that and reaction. So, yeah, you were that seems about right. You were in under 100. I know that because it was when I first started and was doing my live streams and content creation and content creator interview streams and stuff like that. And I had you on, and it was hilarity ensued. I remember. Um, but yeah, um, man, that sucks when I have a good flow going on, and then all of a sudden. So whatever devices in your pocket, keep in mind you can use. And don't let people, like, sway you one way or another or say, "Well, you need to use an iPhone because it has better video." Um, maybe, or you need to use a Mac because you're making content and, Final Cut Pro, maybe, but then consider the vast number of channels that are out there that use Android devices and have used them from early days that now have 100,000 or more subscribers and stuff. Um, Kevin Breeze used I think it was like an S10 till past like not too long ago even he was using an LG G8 at one point to record his videos. I know Hefe was using an Android device to record some of his stuff. I know technically T started off using a S S9 or something like that to record case videos. And the thing is, they all have great mics on them now, and they even have like the background noise isolation stuff. And one of the things that I discovered that I didn't know, and Samsung didn't really talk about what, is when you're talking on the phone and you see where it shows that the microphone is being used in the status bar, if you click on that, you can actually select standard or voice isolation as far as the audio that it brings in now. And that's something Apple has done with iPhones for the last, I think since iOS 16, they've added that, and not something that really Samsung has talked about. And I don't think Google really talked about it much, but that feature is there. And you can do 3D sound, recording where you can get all the sound around you to kind of will go back and forth. So if you're in front of the camera or and somebody else is behind it and you're recording them and you're having a conversation back and forth, it will sound like it's on either side. Or you can go in through the pro modes and select which microphones you want it to use, the rear or the front. There's also dual view, which is something that's been used in third party software. I believe something actually LG originally had and now is built in. and you can select multiple cameras and record at, I believe, 4K 30 frames per second from both the front and rear cameras or 2 rear cameras and be able to get kind of the wide and close-up view. So some of that stuff, it's exciting technology has come out, but a lot of times the devices that are in our pocket, we don't even fully utilize. So my goal is to kind of promote the idea that we learn more about what's in our pocket, and there's even things like, focus mode on the iPhone. I have a focus mode where I have one named after my son. And when I switch that mode, it goes into and brings up basically just the main home page is allowed. And then there's a secondary page that has YouTube and Netflix. And he has his own accounts in there. So he goes in and signs in and or into his own and then some games that he can play, but he can't get access to my social media or any of that other stuff. And he doesn't know how to switch focus modes. And I discovered that on Android devices, you can do a similar thing where you can have, focus modes and then it will switch wallpapers depending on which mode you're in. But there isn't, well, through routines you can do it, but there isn't really a simple way to tell it to hide a certain homepage and show another homepage. And so that's something I'm really hoping they'll add because it would be really nice. One of the really annoying features that, or one of the great features that's annoying that Samsung took away is the ability to have multiple accounts. So what I mean by that is you used to be able to have it so I could have a separate account for my son and then have him signed in just in his own YouTube account in YouTube and Netflix and not be able to get access to mine on there. And I could just sign into his account on there. And then when I want to use, and when I'm using the device, I sign into mine. It's a whole separate, everything separate. And you can't really do that now. Now there's the like secret folder that you can use and you can then have kind of a second version of certain apps, but not all of them. And so not all apps support that. And so I hope that they'll bring the alternate or the ability to sign into multiple users back. Same thing on my tablet. It's kind of interesting because people were critical of like, well, Apple doesn't have, you know, but you can on a computer and Android does, but then they took that away, except for Google still has it with Pixel stuff. Now, the one thing that's kind of annoying to me is you can't like you have to pick which account is primary and then so with my Pixel Fold, when my wife was using it, I set her as the primary and then me as the secondary, but now that she's not really using anymore, but I don't want to remove her and I don't want to have to like wipe it and reinstall everything. I have to switch into her account to install software updates and or OS updates, and I wish that you didn't have to do that. For a bit, they actually with one of the betas, I did find a way to do it without having to go into her account, which was kind of nice. So these companies are removing features, and I wish that they would bring them back. And that's just something that I feel like it's interesting to see the companies like Apple that we were always so critical of not having certain features, and then they're bringing them back, adding these features and focusing on stuff. And they've hired like I think it was 150 people, and they bought out 37 different companies. Um, for AI, and they're investing in that, and they started focusing on some of the AI stuff not too long ago with the where you can press and hold and it selects an image, you can select a subject and make it into a sticker. You can copy it and save it as a new with a black background, or you can move it into another application. And even things like personal voice, which is kind of a accessibility feature where you read off these statements and it gets 15 minutes of you talking, and then it takes those and it creates a robotic voice where you can do things. Let me see here. I'm actually going to see real quick if I can. I'm trying to remember how to there is a way. So personal voice is interesting, and I'm trying to remember how I bring it up. But anyways, there basically I can type into it and it will speak out as though it's my voice, and it sounds a little bit robotic right now. But the idea is if you passed away, that or the idea is if you lose your voice, that you could still speak in a way, that it would be in your own voice. It wouldn't be some third party Siri sounding voice. It would be your own. And so that's kind of the idea of so let's see. I'm trying to remember live speech and then personal voice. So we're going to do this live. I don't know if you guys heard that. Let me check something. Live demo here. Hello, this is Michael Pepper Tech. I don't know if you guys heard that or not. If you could let me know if you heard that. Basically, you can type in a phrase, and then it will read it out in my voice. Um, I can retrain it, which is something I will be working on doing and seeing if it's improved since the uh, original version of it was kind of brought with iOS 17. Um, now that I'm on iOS 17.4, and so that to me is cool that that's a function there. And theoretically, I could type up a whole script to a video and bring it in and put that in and put it out, and it would sound pretty pretty consistent to me. And there's other software that lets you do it too, where you can bring like a 20-minute video in, and it will take that video and it'll grab the voice from it and grab each pronunciation of each sound, and then it will tell you if you need more. And then you can type text and have that come out as your voice. You can actually bring in videos that you're worked on that you edited, and it will transcribe from your voice into text, and you can go and grab that text, and you can if you take things out and delete things from the transcript part of it in text, it will actually delete the audio and the video part of that as well. So you can go in and delete all the ums, you can go find all the ums and the ahs and delete it. You can then also type in additional stuff, and then it will add that in. So if you're doing voiceovers of certain segments and you forget to say something, you can go add it in text later. It's just amazing to see where technology is going, and I'm super excited for it. And, you know, it's awesome to see how many people are excited for it as well, and I've been part of these conversations and talking about, where companies are headed, but I'm also critical of it because there is concern of where AI goes too far, and so one of the other things I wanna talk about is how everything's gone to kind of on the cloud. So you go to watch a video and you're watching something in Netflix, everything's on the cloud. You don't own anything there. Hulu, everything's on the cloud. You don't own anything. Apple Music, you don't own anything unless you buy certain songs. Apple TV Plus, you don't own anything. You're streaming. All the streaming services, you don't own it. And then if you save songs and then you pass away, somebody goes in and tries to find your favorite songs, you have to kind of give them permission. And now what's cool is Apple has given a way that you can assign a contact permission to access that stuff when you pass away. And you can actually provide them, and I've printed out. It's a very long code, and they put that in, and it authenticates that you've given them permission, and they can get access to your playlist that you saved and your favorites and all that. But I'd like to see that integrated with other services, so, Netflix and Amazon Prime Video and Hulu Plus and Disney Plus and all that. If they all kind of had a way that you could assign a contact for when you pass away, that they can get access to that would be neat. The other thing that's really concerning, though, is if you edit video clips of, let's say, of, your family members, and it's all uploaded to the cloud and then altered to bring brought back down with, like, Video Boost, then that means the cloud has analyzed it. That means potentially people have seen it because the only way that they can improve it is if there's some issue, then developers are going through it and looking at it. The other concern is that what if you decide down the road, "Oh, I want a little bit of a different edit with it," and now the company does decide, "You know what?" Like Samsung has said in 2025, certain features are going to not be free. So, does that mean that if I've taken all these video clips and I've had them or photos and I've had them analyze it and I've had them edit it, that in 2030, these phones are saying, "Oh, we're gonna get 7 years of support," so that means if you're giving me 2 years where it's gonna be free, and at the end of those 2 years, I still have 5 more years where that device is officially supported, and you're saying, let's say maybe it's even $4 a month, that's $48 a year. That's 240 additional dollars that I have to pay to continue to use those features and to be able to edit that stuff. Or if I give the device to somebody or sell it, then they have to pay for those features to be able to have access. But for me, the concern is like I've edited a certain way and I decide later I've learned more, or I really don't like that, or the features have improved. Don't, really, I don't really like the idea that I'm gonna have to pay for it. Oh, okay. Well, hopefully that's true. But Charles says I think Samsung did by accident, I heard, because they deleted that. Well, hopefully, hopefully it's something like, "Hey, we don't really mean, like, we're gonna charge you, but we're gonna include it." And I think they'll probably do similar to what Apple has done with the SOS features, where they said it'll be included for 2 years, but then when the next phone came out, they're like, "Ah, we're just gonna extend that," and then they add more features and they extend it. Because I think the downside is if they start charging for it, they're gonna actually have fewer people that are giving them their data. Because if you start charging for it, then people are just gonna find alternatives instead of getting access to being like, "Well, I get access for free, but yeah, we have to understand with that, either way, they're getting that data that they're gathering. But if they start charging for it, then people are, like I said, are gonna step away, and then Samsung doesn't benefit from getting access to all that data that we're providing them. And so part of the exchange and not paying, part of that discussion is, and I would actually like to see this, is keep it free, but then provide an option to pay to say, you know what, edit it, but do it in such a way where it's uploaded, edited, sent back down to me, and then it's deleted. Or an encryption version, like a higher encrypted version where it's way more secure. Give an option, or you know what, they don't get to scan through it and reanalyze it and do something, they don't get to grab the information that they obtain by doing that. They don't get to benefit from that. They get to analyze it, they get to adjust it and send it back down to you, but they don't get to take that and then people look through it and the developers get advantage of it because you're paying. So that will be interesting though. And where if there'll be forced versions of that. And by forced, I mean where they'll say, "Well, we're gonna we're gonna benefit extremely by for if you're not paying, um, and you only get these features if you are paying." And I'll be interested to see if they'll kinda go the Google method, where Google Photos, I can edit in Google Photos on my iPhone because I have Google One, and I get all the same features I would most of the same features I would on a Pixel. I don't get, like, the video boost stuff, but I think that will be coming eventually. I think Google, um, they put those features out, and they are available on the Pixel, and then they make them available to other people because they realize, like, "Oh, we have tens of millions or maybe over 100 million other users that are on other platforms that we would like their data and we would like them to pay us. Let's say there's 10 million total Pixel users, but there's 200 million plus iPhones sold every year, and there's I think like over 2 billion iPhones in use or something like that, like active use, the number of users, and then Samsung users and Vivo users, like all these other devices, where if they can get the $5 a month, that is a lot of money. That's billions of dollars, if not trillions of dollars that Google could be getting. Way more than keeping this on their own hardware. And so it'll be interesting to see if Samsung will do that too. And some of the stuff we know they're using Samsung feature or they're using same thing. Yeah. They're using Google features. They're using Google's AI stuff to interpret the photos. They're using Google's stuff to be able to move objects around. They're using part of their call screen. They're using their translation models, and they're building it in kind of in their own UI and on top of their own software. They're also doing their own stuff, like some of the Bixby AI stuff and some of the way that they're doing on device is built off from Google's technology for on device, but it's also their own thing that they've been doing for a long time. And I would love to see the competition. I would love to see that, take place. So, you know, let me go. Obviously, let me know what you guys think about that as well. So we're gonna start to wrap it up here. It is 8:54 p.m. and I've been live for almost an hour. We had a little bit of a hiccup in there for a minute. I will do my little call out here again. If you want to support the channel, check out buymeacoffee.com/. Michael Pepper Tech. Also, check out my Patreon. Tech for Your Needs is a member on there, and I have content that I post on there, mostly all articles right now. I will be doing some video content and photo content on there as well. $3 a month helps support the channel. The other way is you can always do Cash App. And I get 100% of those each way while I'm working on monetizing the channel and getting my hours up and things like that. I don't, have any sponsorships or anything currently, and so, that can help me to be able to, pay for StreamYard and subsidize some of these products as making content is expensive, and what you get out of it is access to things in the background and behind the scenes and shout outs on the live streams and I'll be adding some higher tiers in there as well for being able to, be a shout out in every video and all that. But $3 a month and so if you want to choose to help the channel, do that and check out at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Um, Technically T will be going live. And so um check out that stream as well. Let's see, tomorrow night, Gadget Goddess will be going live at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then Wednesday, there's Wired Wednesday, which is also at 8 PM, no, 9 PM Eastern Standard Time. And then Thursday, um, let's see, Thursday, who goes live? Hold on. I think Tech King Mike will be live at 8. And then at 9, um, Ike should be live. And then Friday, check out LaShawn, holler at your boy. Um, and then Saturday, Digital Sling has a podcast. Um, I'm trying to think who else goes on Saturday. Oh, and then Sunday, El Jefe's live. Um, and then there is shoot, oh my gosh, what's it called? This week. Um, anyways, there is something to watch every single day of the week. Live streams here. And I will try to grab those and tweet that. I try to tweet those out. So if you're not following me, follow my Twitter. All my stuff is down below. I'm also a photographer, so there's Michael Pepper Photography Instagram down there and Threads for both Michael Pepper Tech and that. I also do have a channel called Tech Discussions. Go check that out. And I'll be adding more content down there and um, just keep watching. If you're part of the replay crew, hashtag replay crew. If you're part of the live crew, please comment afterwards. Hashtag I was there live. And I will see you all next week. Of course, have a wonderful week and enjoy your tech. I don't only talk tech, I live it. Please do the same. Don't just talk about it. Live it, love it, enjoy. Peace out, peace and love. See you all next week. Oh yes, before I go, Mobile Geezer is on Friday nights as well. And Tech for Needs is usually on Monday at 6. Technically T does go, it depends. I think he's going back on Mondays now, now that Monday Night Football is kind of done for now. Just check out everybody's Twitters and channels and stuff. And don't forget to click the subscribe button if you're new. Thumbs up video if you like it. And of course, the notification bell. Thanks. Peace.